Hi, I'm Joe Kendall. Welcome to Knowledge and Practical Information. As a consumer, I use many products, and I like to tell you what's good and bad about them. That's what this series is all about. I'll also impart some knowledge that will help you keep your family safe throughout the course of your daily lives. Today we're going to talk about revolvers, what's good and bad about them. Revolvers have a long history. In 1835, Samuel Colt mass-produced the gun that changed the West. Revolvers have changed and evolved throughout time, but basically it's the same weapon. If I had to put my life on one gun, and one gun only, it's going to be a revolver. I've never had a revolver jam out of thousands and thousands of rounds through it. However, semi-automatic pistols, they do jam. More moving parts, more complex product. Revolvers come in all different types of calibers of ammunition. 38 Special is most prevalent. 357 Magnum for hunters, 44 Magnum for hunters, the Dirty Harry round. The one downside of revolver ammunition is generally it's more expensive than what you'll find for like 9mm pistols. However, good stopping power. So let's look at a revolver. This is the Smith & Wesson. It's empty, as you can see. This is a snub-nose revolver. Snub-nose meaning short barrel. This is a 5-shot. That's a downside. Limited capacity for ammunition, where you can get a 9mm pistol holding 17, 18 rounds. This is 5 rounds. That's it. That's what you got. So you'll generally probably carry a speed loader with this. A speed loader basically looks like this, and the rounds would simply drop on the cylinder. I'll show you that a little bit later. I've added a grip adapter to this firearm to minimize the recoil when I shoot at the range because it gives me a little more to hold on to. The 38 Special round is a little more peppier than your 9mm, and there is more recoil. Because it's a short barrel firearm, this is pretty much a belly gun, meaning 3 yards, 7 yards all day long, 15 yards if you practice, but 15 yards is basically the limit of the average person that'll shoot this gun. You can shoot this in double action and single action. Double action simply means when I pull the trigger, this barrel is going to rotate. There are little grooves here, and there's a cam that'll catch this. So as I pull the trigger back, the barrel rotates and the hammer pulls. Long trigger pull, a little bit of energy to pull that. This takes a little more practice at the range if you're shooting double action. If you have a weak hand, this gun's not for you. Single action, because I have an exposed hammer, I simply pull it back with my thumb, very little trigger pull. This gun is really accurate if you take your time with it. In single action, it's very simple, very easy. But the most of the times you're going to use this will be double action because you're pulling it and your life depends on it. One advantage of a double action firearm is that if I slowly pull this back on the long trigger pull and now I don't have to shoot, I can gently go forward and my hammer goes forward. I didn't shoot the firearm and my target stopped doing what it was doing that made me want to pull this in the first place. So that's an advantage. This firearm is not one you want to carry in your pocket because of the exposed hammer. This hammer will catch on your clothing inside your pocket of the cloth, and if you pull it out, it's going to take a while to pull this gun out. So they make a hammerless version. The hammerless version is where they simply cut off the hammer, and then the hammer is internal, so it's smooth, and you could put it in your pocket. But I still wouldn't want to do that because if you look at the profile of the gun, it's fat. It's not a slim profile like a small pistol. And so this gun is best carried in a holster. One nice advantage of this firearm is that the cartridges, the empty shell casings after you fire, stay in the cylinder. So if I fire all 5 rounds and then I open the cylinder, the empty shell casings are in here. They didn't fall on the ground. Really good if I'm reloading because I simply flip it up, push the extractor, cartridges in my hand, and then I can reload the gun. This is also one of the easier guns to clean over a pistol. I open the cylinder, I put hoppies with a bore brush through here, hoppies through the barrel, I use my cleaning patches, I dry it off, put it back together, the gun's clean. I didn't have to take it apart, no disassembly, and I didn't need any tools for it. It's that easy. This firearm, Smith & Wesson, Colt, Ruger, if you maintain the firearms, especially revolvers, they're in demand. There's not a whole lot of them compared to pistols. They hold their value. Disadvantage again, limited number of rounds. Speed loaders are hard to conceal. Double action's harder to pull than a single action pistol. If you got a hammerless one, there's no single action, so it's always double action. What's the advantage of this over all the other guns? The most dependable one you'll ever own. So now we're going to simply open it. I'll show you how a speed loader works. We take the speed loader with the rounds, put the speed loader in. It's kind of hard, okay? I simply turn it, the rounds drop in, close the cylinder. This is now a loaded firearm. This is what I call gun box ready condition. An unloaded gun does no one any good. Keep in mind, always, 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 lock it up if you have kids, period. And lock it up if you're leaving your house, so if somebody breaks into your home, these things don't end up on the street in the wrong hands. So this is Joe Kendall for Knowledge and Practical Information. Thank you for joining me today on Revolvers Good and Bad. Stay tuned for our next episode. Not sure what it's going to be on, but it's going to be on something you'll find interesting.